We begin our report in France, where President Biden will use the 80th anniversary of the Allied landing on D-Day to commemorate the defeat of authoritarian rule in Europe. On Thursday, the president will visit the beaches of Normandy, where the U.S., U.K., and other Allied nations invaded Nazi-occupied France on June 6, 1944. More than 4,000 soldiers died, including more than 2,500 American men. The brutal battles were the first steps towards the liberation of Europe and ultimately the Allied victory in World War II. While in France, President Biden will also meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and French President Emmanuel Macron. Biden is expected to reaffirm his commitment to America's European allies, freedom, and democratic rule, contrasting himself with Donald Trump, who has recently suggested again that he would punish political rivals if elected. For more, let's bring in CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe, who is in Paris with the president. Ed, give me some of the overarching themes that we're going to hear from President Biden during this trip.
John, good to be with you. I think the big one is a broad defense of the future of democracy on this continent, in the United States, and around the world. Just before your broadcast began tonight, we received word from the White House, for example, that the president spoke today with Narendra Modi, who I know you're going to be speaking about later in this program, just won himself a re-election as well down in India. This is a big year for elections around the world, and there are some underway here in Europe as well for the European Union. And so by going to Normandy to be part of the D-Day commemorations on Thursday, by giving a big speech at Pointe du Hoc, nearby on Friday at a place where Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton gave similar addresses many years ago, Biden trying to cast the current crises around the world as another example of good versus evil, democracy versus autocracy, and the need for the world to pay attention to and take seriously the threats to democratic, lower D democratic norms, again, here in Europe, in the United States, and in other countries facing challenges to their democratic rule.
Issue number one, and in the neighborhood, of course, is Ukraine. He'll be meeting with Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Is that purely symbolic? Is there a message that he wants to deliver? What's the objective in that meeting?
Well, it's symbolic, but it's also going to be substantive. No Russian official has been invited to these D-Day commemorations by the French government, notable because they have been, of course, in the past. But given the ongoing conflict and given that Zelenskyy is coming to France for the commemorations, the French agreed with the British, Americans, and others that it wasn't proper to invite them. So symbolically, he's here and he'll stand alongside these other leaders. Substantively, Zelenskyy is expected to push the president here in France this week and then next week at the G7 meetings in Italy to allow more flexibility in what Ukraine can do with American-provided weaponry and other equipment. Can they go further into Russia and target other military installations or equipment inside Russia, further in beyond Kharkiv? Can they use those weapons and intelligence in other matters to try to aggressively push back against the Russian offensive? The president, at least publicly, has been reluctant, beyond some limited allowances for things, again, around Kharkiv now. Whether he agrees this week to do more under pressure from President Macron here in France or other European leaders who say it's time to intensify the defense of Ukraine remains to be seen. But it'll be a key meeting, and one, frankly, that draws attention back to Ukraine after so many months of primary American focus being in the Middle East, given the conflict there.
Quickly at the end here, Ed, you and I have been exchanging emails about domestic politics and the rhetoric of President Biden. Is he going to take this opportunity to, in the context of defending democratic norms and institutions, respond either directly or implicitly with what former President Trump has been saying, that it's, quote, very possible, the former president said, that he could imprison his political opponents if he's reelected in November. How explicit will the president be in drawing contrast to his opponent?
I would anticipate implicit references to it in his speech Friday at Pointe du Hoc, and then in a visit he's making Sunday before flying home. He's going to a cemetery outside Paris where American soldiers and Marines who died in World War I are buried. Those that follow the Trump presidency may remember that on a similar trip in 2018, then President Trump was supposed to go to that cemetery, canceled a helicopter visit there, declined to take a motorcade under cloudy skies, and was later reported by the Atlantic magazine to have called those buried there, quote, losers and suckers. It was strongly denied by President Trump, but it was quickly seized upon by then candidate Joe Biden as the latest example of him, Trump, not being someone who could be taken seriously on national security, military, and veterans affairs. Now, as President Biden is here in France and will make that visit, no matter what the weather looks like, the White House says, to implicitly contrast himself with his predecessor and potential successor and demonstrate that he, at least, is trying to show respect for the military, respect for those that served here in Europe and that continue to with the conflicts underway in Ukraine.
Ed O'Keefe, traveling with the president in Paris. Thank you so much, Ed.